Alrighty guys, well you should have already looked at commercialisation and looked at those couple of examples that I put on there. But now I'm going to try and make a bit of a short video about portrayals of outdoor environments and experiences and sort of relate that to my own experience. So I'll read a bit of the preamble and then I'll go through each one so you can follow along in your textbook from page 209. In today's world, we are subject to many different influences that contribute to shaping our relationship with the outdoor environment. This includes many views or attitudes about the environment that we are subjected to from a very early age. Initially, our interactions with those close to us, such as our parents, will be a major influence on our own views. If we were to grow up on a farm, for example, our family's livelihood would be based on particular interactions with the land that we live on. The role of the outdoor environment is very specific in this instance, as in the importance of the productivity of the land is fundamental to the family's values. And I was pretty lucky, I guess. I grew up on a farm in Gallipoli, which is pretty remote, and my parents had a great appreciation for the land. They valued sort of being part of the land. My father gave me Sand County Almanac to read when I was about 13 or 14. And that was a pretty important book. But anyway, we'll get to the portrayals. Hang on, I've just got to let the dog in. Right. Dog is in. All good. So the dot points we're looking at is looking at outdoor environments or experiences as an adversary. A gymnasium, a resource, a museum, and a cathedral. And I think I can put together a bit of a slideshow that demonstrates that now. So I'll put some photos and talk over the top of that. See how we go. Right, it's 11:30 at night. The kids are in bed. I'm talking over myself. But what you're watching is the fire coming over the top of Mount Statham. And this one is nature as an adversary, I guess. So the bushfires, I think, are a pretty good example. Like, it's nature not really doing what we want it to do, and it was a pretty stressful time for a lot of, most of Australia really. About 5 seconds after this, the fire started spotting in the paddocks, and things really got real. Like, I managed okay. It's the fire just getting to the house. But yeah, it meant I had to stay up all night. And the little spot in the middle, that's my house. So yeah, it was pretty well burnt out. This is the next morning, over near the shearing shed, the Black Hawk helicopter hovering around the house. And that's my more backyard, so that's the way the fire came. That's my little sprinkler system that kept things going. And just looking into the bush off to the west. This is a Lucas mill that we used to cut some timber with, and it's a resource gone. Now, another way people can test themselves, I guess, is through playing with animals. And this is in South America. And the idea is to jump the bull. That guy didn't do that, but luckily he was provided some pretty good first aid straight away. And yeah, everyone carried on. Another way people test themselves, like nature as an adversary, is doing hard things. And this is one of the hardest walks I've done. This is the Y-Wash circuit. So 11 days carrying all your own stuff in northern Peru. Some people get donkeys. We didn't get donkeys. We were the donkeys. But you can resupply on a town about 7 days through. So that's one of the higher mountain peaks. So the challenge there is altitude and just trying to breathe and not overdo it so you can keep going. Down in that valley is where Joe Simpson crawled to, down by that lake. And I think he went down the valley. And I've got some photos of the town that they took him to next. Yeah, so if you haven't watched Touching the Void, it's a pretty good one, looking at nature, natural environments as an adversary. Adversary? Yeah, down in that valley anyway. There's me looking pretty well done at the top of a mountain pass. There's me triumphantly looking out over nature A nice sunset. It is hard on the body and like that, yeah, hard on the knees and everything. That's an Italian guy, there's a tent over there, and that's ours. And this is the town they took Joe Simpson to. We watched the movie in a little tienda there. But yeah, goes in, yeah, and it is hard. Like people have died doing that walk and things for numerous reasons. Some of them more human than natural, but people are doing it hard. The next one, nature is a gymnasium, and climbing is an easy metaphor to use for that. Like I've climbed in lots of places. It's in Tassie, but you've just got to think about an area that you use a lot locally that gives you an opportunity to express yourself that way. Like Jack, I think surfing is a really good one. You can use that. This is Red Rocks in Nevada. There's some really good climbing. But yeah, areas that are not too modified. This is in Colombia, and this is mono, and this is a sport climb, so it's bolted. But this is far harder than I tried to second him up, but it was really quite tricky. But yeah, this is an easy metaphor for using nature or natural environments as a gymnasium. You're literally using it as a gymnasium. So if it's a bike track, like a mountain bike track, a ski run to a lesser extent, like a cross-country trail is probably better. And this is the Moai in Tassie, which is a pretty grand adventure. You go down, and I think there's one bolt on it, but the rest you place natural gear. There's Finn, a friend of ours. Yeah, so using natural environments for adventure. There's me sweating my way up the last pitch, and on the top. Probably didn't need that one. But it is set up actually as a gymnasium, I guess. There is bolts, there's chains. This isn't Buchan, this is at Buchan Station actually. It's some really nice limestone. I haven't been there for years, but just going through these photos. And the next one is using nature as a resource. My family breed cattle, I breed bulls. And my whole family puts a lot of work into that. Like they're pretty close to the land, they care for the properties that they own and the areas around it, like spraying weeds and trying to get fences back after the fires and feeding things after the fires, and growing stuff to feed stuff. So this is putting in a crop of turnips, which are coming up alright at the moment, to feed cattle in the winter, because all the hay's burnt. And sometimes like using nature as a resource is hard, like in Australia with climatic conditions and things. These are from Central Australia, and you farm on marginal land, and it is struggle street. Right, nature as a museum. So the place that I thought of that sort of fitted the bill and I could find photos of was the Galapagos, like one of the last places to be trampled on by people. And because it's risen out of the sea, all the life there is pretty biologically unique, so it's a pretty important place for the world, but we've got to use it, or we've got to think about local examples of places that are fairly untouched, that are a good example for all the modified environments around it. This one's a little bit modified, but it's all very volcanic. That's an eruption that took place in about 83, I think, and it's given life to all the giant Galapagos tortoises. And this is them trying to get their numbers up a bit and release them into the wild, because yeah, all the fauna and flora there is fairly unique.
According to
This
my
is my
trusty assistant Rebecca, there
take
are
on
14
David
species, all evolved from the one species, but they are looking very small in the camera.
Yeah, I think that sort of showcases my cinematography skills. And there's some blue-footed boobies. They don't even have to lay a nest because there's no predators, so they're all pretty contented. And that there are daisies. And this is the world's largest daisy, so blown there, grown in isolation. And this is one of the youngest islands, so just risen out of the ocean. So all the plants have got to recolonise it either just from the air or blown across the water, I guess. But really young geology. So to me, that's an example of a museum. Another one is the Amazon. And this is in Ecuador, I think in Tena. So a huge storehouse and of plants and chemicals that may be useful for us in the future. Who knows, like what medicines we may need or what things we can develop from nature. And there's one of the ugliest buildings I've seen. That's the Rainforest Science Building in Ecuador. Meant to look like the rainforest, but it looks like it's made out of Duplo. And this is like basically at a witch's market, but all the things from nature that may be good. And the last one, nature is a cathedral, and this is one of the most closest experiences I've had in the natural environment with the southern right whale. That was amazing at Conran a few years ago. And to me, that was quite a spiritual connection with the land, I guess. Just having another sentient creature pop up beside you and be quite happy for a couple of hours, really. And just some places have got a special feel about it. Mount Arapiles, I really like going to. Uluru, which goes without saying, like the indigenous people that have lived there for 60,000 years have got a pretty intimate knowledge of the land. Yeah, and the campsite we found was just great to escape Illawarra. This is Lake Mungo, and to me that's a pretty amazing spot. One of the oldest human remains outside of Africa. Just shows that people have walked on the land for a long, long time. Alrighty, there it is. Second crappy video for Out Dread. But try and do my lesson and see how you go.